Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. In today's video, we're going to be doing a quick little flight from Sacramento Executive Airport all the way over to the Grand Canyon National Park Airport. Should take about an hour to do. Pardon the tug, just going right through where I'm parked. You know, flight sim things. So without further ado, let's not waste any time and let's step on in the aircraft. As you can see, we are flying the FSReborn 300E. So let's not waste any time here. We'll get things fired up. So let's go ahead and get that door closed. Get the GPU plugged in real quick. And we'll begin turning on our aircraft. So 2 batteries, 2 generators. Let's get that APU going. Everything's come to life. Okay. Engine bleeds. Hide our visibility for our yoke real quick. Some fuel pumps. ADS probes. And we'll put our signs on. Yep, too far. Alright, so while everything begins the alignment, let's go ahead and get everything else prepared for today's flight. So it's just going to be a solo flight. So I'm going to get a relatively reasonable weight there. We're going to leave the fuel at about 50%. We shouldn't need to use any more than what we have. We'll just click load instant. No passengers today. So let's take a look at our flight plan. So we're using the default EFB because this does work well with the integrated avionics G3000 of the Phenom. So we're taking off from runway 20 Sacramento Executive. There is no departure, really no departure method out of here, just because it is a private airport, so it's direct to your first waypoint, 89 miles away. We have a route string here of 6 waypoints. We have no arrival procedure because there is none to this airport, and then we just have an ILS approach for runway 3. Taking a look at the weather, so if we come over to our weather for Sacramento, everything is looking pretty good. Very light wind. 2976 is our air pressure. Good visibility. And you can see that there are really no clouds to speak of over at the airport Grand Canyon. A little bit better air pressure. Again, light winds, and there is a no, not really any clouds to speak of as of right now, but that can change within the hour that we get there. So let's go ahead and let's set our altimeters correctly. So that's 2976. We'll set it once. Set it twice. 3 times. And let's go ahead and begin the initialization process. Go ahead, clear voice erase. Typically what I'll do is when I'm doing this, I will have both of them going at the same time here. Go ahead and set our data while this goes through, so we can just turn that on and off. Get our traffic going while that sends. Data has been accepted. System test is passed. So let's see here. So let's go ahead and send our routes to the avionics here. 6 waypoints. We're not going to set up VNAV just because of the fact this thing is an absolute monster. We're going to be climbing up to 33,000 feet, and we're going to get there very quickly. Approach looks okay. The mist looks good. FMS, landing elevation's good. Empty weight aircraft loading, so that'll be what we have on our tablet. So 158 is the only weight we need. None of that's really important. Fuel, fob sync. So that syncs to how much fuel we have on board to our avionics here. Origin runways to 0. Load our winds in and our air pressure. How much runway we have available, the elevation, takeoff configuration, we're using flaps 1. And then these will be our V1, V-rotate, V2, and our reference speeds and FS. So let's go ahead and accept those takeoff speeds. You can see they've been confirmed here. And we will go ahead and accept our initialization. So when it comes to the Phenom, especially on startup, I like to have the status on the left, electrical on the right. So we can see here, this is what it's going to look like when we first start. Let's go ahead and get our pressurization correct. So we have it on auto. ECS switch is going to be on both. We'll go ahead and we'll turn on our fuel pumps. And then we will begin our testing. Test fire test.
Fire. Fire.
Do smoke.
Fire. Fire.
Annunciators. Looks good. And then stall.
Stall. Stall. Stall. Stall.
It does say stall about 3 or 4 different times.
Stall. Stall. Stall.
And that should do it. Alright. AFE refresher, put that on. Everything looks okay over here. So the cool thing about this is we can check everything looks okay. Things okay there. Cabin, no pressure, no one's on board, so we don't have to worry about anything here. Maintenance has been taken care of. Loading has been taken care of. So we can go ahead and begin our engine start. Start number 2. See the shed bus poles. Got fuel flow, ITTs. Here comes N1. That's a good start. Now let's do number 1. And you see the battery, shed bus comes off. Fuel flow into ITTs. Here comes N1. And you'll notice this is the bleeds are off, which they are not. We can see that we did flick the switch to on. So there's nothing to be worried about. So there we go. We have good starts on both engines. So let's go ahead and disconnect that GPU. Just like that. Here again, we're using flaps 1. Disengage our parking brake. Taxi lights are on. Strobe lights. Let's go ahead and configure our autopilot panel. So it's just going to be direct to 33,000. I'm not doing ATC or filing any flight plans like that. This is just kind of like a load in and go flight. So we have everything all set up. We're going to 33,000 feet. You can see our V1, VR, and V2 speeds are programmed into here in our FS. And then as we continue to climb, we will have the FMS kind of gauge our speed as we continue our climb. So let's test our takeoff config.
Takeoff okay.
We're good to go there. runway 20, I believe, is right behind us. I believe it is. If there's a plane on approach, so we'll have to wait for him. Well, let's get going. Let's make sure we don't take off Buddy's head with our aircraft wing here. So we'll go right. Yeah, like a glove. Go ahead and head to runway 20. But there is no auto throttle on this aircraft yet. I know that it's supposed to be coming here very, very soon, hopefully. That would be pretty nice. That'll help with the workload, especially on descent. Let's take a look and kind of go over our departure briefing. So we'll be taking off from runway 20. If anything happens before V1, we will go full idle, full brakes, pop the spoilers up, and we will reject the takeoff. If anything happens after V1, we'll take it into the air, get the gear up, we'll pitch for FS, and then clean up our flaps and then run some checklists and see what we have to do here. Approaching runway 1230. I don't see anything, so we can continue. This aircraft, this Phenom is such a good aircraft. If you haven't seen my review on it, do go check it out. It is my favorite business jet to fly. There's quite a few options to choose from the simulator itself, the base game, and then obviously the DLCs that it comes with, special editions and whatnot. But this is just the best one by far. You can get in and out of certain airports very, very quickly. It has such short field capabilities. You can take off on a runway that's 3,000 feet long and have plenty of room left to even RTO if you need to. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get lined up over here. Here's 20. I believe we are waiting for a plane, unless if it's just being buggy, which it probably is. The AI traffic, you know how that can go. Could be glitched out and show them in a field, for all I know. I don't see him in the air. You can see him around here. It doesn't look like it's moving at all. So we'll go ahead and take off. Put the landing light on. On the runway, we'll do a static takeoff. We have enough room that we can do a static. We can even do a static on shorter runways. Yeah, that plane ain't moving. So it's probably glitched out. Nice freshly paved runway. This looks great. let's get going. So got airspeed of this live. That's 80 knots already. There's V1 and rotate. Get the gear up, positive rate, and we gotta retract the flaps real quick because we will overspeed them very fast. So we're gonna pitch to 20 degrees nose up, and look at how this thing is gonna climb. We're already at 6,000 feet a minute vertical speed. On the throttles, we're going to go to climb rate. We're going to turn on our yaw damper, get our flight director going. We're going to turn on nav and flight level change. We are up in the air. We'll do the map here and then the fuel here. We can kind of monitor our fuel situation as well as take a look at our route so we know where we're going. 8,000 feet per minute. Wasn't kidding when I said this thing flies like crazy. This thing is an absolute monster when it comes to taking off and flying. Now we're above 10,000 feet. Going to pitch down a little bit. Get that landing light off. And we'll turn off the seat belts even though there's no one on board, just for good practice. So the FMS wants us to be at 225 knots during our climb. We really don't need to be. We can be anywhere right now. You can see we're pitching 10 degrees nose up and we're still 5,000 feet a minute and climbing more rapidly. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a tailwind too, which is nice to have. You see the flight director still wants us to go to the right. There's really no point because we will intercept it here momentarily. Get the pitch down a little bit and keep 225 knots as best as we can. We're getting ready to cross 18,000 feet, so we go ahead and reset our altimeters. Standard and standard. That's 20,000 feet. Plane is easy to fly. I'm hand flying it right now. Very stable. You don't really need to touch the joystick really at all. responds very well to your controls. You don't really have to put any movement in, and this thing will do what it's told. As you can see right here, we are gonna catch our flight plan here very soon. We're still pretty much on course. Eventually we will get our little aircraft marker over the pink line. It's really no point to rush it. You'll get to it. Give it just a little bit of bank to the right just to kind of turn it a little bit. Straighten it out. Pitch down a little bit more so we can get back up to 225 knots. Once we cross 28,000 feet, I'll go ahead and turn on the autopilot. So there we are, 28,000, autopilot comes on, I go to controls. So make sure flight level change is on, got our cruise altitude set, navigation is on. Yaw damper's good. Again, no auto throttle, so I kind of have to watch it when we do get up to cruise speed. So I'm going to let the plane do its thing. I'm going to go ahead and cut the recording right now, so stick around, and I will catch you guys on the approach into Grand Canyon National Park. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are now on descent into Grand Canyon National Park. Descending through 17,000 feet right now. We're going to be leveling off at 10,000 to start, and then we will get to our final approach altitude of around 8,000. We're flying over some pretty good looking terrain right now. Could get some clouds to form as we approaching the area. It's kind of ruining the view, but there's some great views just come on now, getting ready for our approach. So we have our altimeter set at 3020. We have that set 3 times. Currently descending pretty quickly. This aircraft, with its flight level change and holding 275 knots, allows us to descend at a pretty good rate depending on where you want your engines to be. You can have a full idle and fully dip it down, or you can set a certain at 1 speed, and that can control your pitch. So we're descending now about 3,000 feet a minute. We're trying to ballpark it around there as we pass through 14,000 feet. And then we will slow down as we get closer to our waypoint here to get set up for our approach. So here's what our approach is looking like. We have a left-hand turn that'll get us lined up with the runway. Runway 3 is about 6,600 feet above the ground, above sea level, so we will get within about 1,800, 1,500 feet above airport elevation and get us set up for our approach. We can see a nice little valley canyon here as we get ready for our approach into Grand Canyon. Even though we're still above 10,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and turn our landing lights on and our seatbelt signs for good measure. Because with this elevation, we technically are lower than 10,000 feet. to 9,000. We're gonna go to idle. As we finish out our descent. So you can see even at 10,000 feet we are actually getting pretty low to the ground right now. And we're about 15 miles from our setup, our left-hand turn to the approach. You can see the nice valleys, the canyons that we formed. Pegasus Flight Simulator did a good job with terrain replication. See all the rivers and such carved into the landscape there. And all the rains that happen. And then the Grand Canyon is all back to here. So the FMS wants us to do 250 knots. We're actually going to go a little slower than that as we get ready for our approach. So we are going to now descend to about 8,000 feet. So let's set that. A little flight level change. It's going to descend as hard because it wants to hold 250 knots. So we're actually going to go vertical speed. And there it goes. While idle for now. I'm going to go over to our next waypoint where you're going to get it set up for the approach. You can see it cuts off right there. Let's see what it wants to do, if it's going to want to line us up or if it's going to set us up for the next. So I'm going to go and click on this direct. And then we're going to activate as soon as we cross the threshold here. So we're about 2,500 feet above the ground. This is where we want to be. Idle on the throttles, slow it down so we can get to the point where we can start deploying flaps. 60, we can go flaps, 1. Gonna bring up some throttle. There's our left-hand turn. And now we're going to activate direct to Harpley. So that'll get us lined up for the approach onto the runway. Which the runway is, in fact, dead ahead. Not really much to look at as we are getting set up on our approach here. A couple pools of water, but it's mainly flat. But at least we do have a nice sunset as we approach. So with the airfield in sight, we're going to go gear down. gear is down, we're going to begin adding some flaps. We're going to land on flaps config 3. So we got landing gear 3 green, no reds. We're not going to be using spoilers. We don't need to. The brakes in this thing are phenomenal.
Autopilot.
We're going to disable our autopilot. Flaps config 3. Oh, actually, you're at 4. Let's back. Oh, that was 3. We're on flaps 3. Again, 3 green, no red. You got the fuel just about right. We have 980 pounds left. Because we were cruising pretty low, we burned a little more fuel, which is what was needed, just simply because of the fact that we want to have a pretty good low landing weight. Set the altitude at 6,000 for this. You can see just how low of an approach speed we have on final here. I could go lower. We're just going to keep it about 115 until we get closer towards the runway. No pappies, so you kind of have to judge it. Use your best judgment. You would think with a detailed airport there would be some pappies, but unfortunately there is not. Getting thrown around by the wind just a little bit here. Can actually bring it back a little more. Go full idle here, because we are pretty much level nose. And we're pulling 130 knots ground speed.
500.
Continue.
400. 300.
A little bit of throttle here.
200. 100.
Beautiful.
Trim.
I'm gonna say something about the trim just because we are not using spoilers. These brakes stop you quick. Alright. Do a right turn here. We are clear the runway. We clamp our flaps. Go ahead and taxi to our parking stand. I'll tell you, this plane is such an absolute performer. Can't say enough good things about it. Look at all the aircraft that are here. Bunch of private jets, prop aircraft. There's tons of aircraft here. I know my parking stand is way down at the back here. believe the one I chose was somewhere over in this area. A little bit of a taxi ahead of us, and then we will get situated. Look at all the aircraft. Insane. Cessnas, Pipers, Pilatuses. Craft, I'm sure, is poking in here. Aircraft City. There's a lot. Everyone must be here for a special occasion. Even just on a flat land like this, the scenery here is just incredible. Got the sun setting back over there, all the trees, aircraft, and their parking stands. It's absolutely incredible. My parking stand should just be up over here. So we have road traffic kind of entering the fray here, if they shouldn't be doing, but they are. Here's my spot. Dokey. Parking brake on. Turn the landing lights off. Turn our strobes off. We can go ahead and shut her down. Disengage our pumps. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed a flight like this. It's a fun little flight to do. Haven't been here before in the sim at all. Trying to go to different locations with different aircraft. Make sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you want to see next. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, as there's plenty more content on the way. And also, make sure to hit that notification bell so you are notified when the next video goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.